Hey everyone, so we are about to start into 2025, and the best way for everyone to get on track with their fitness goals is to focus on how to eat healthy. All right, so what I'm gonna go over today is the best practices and guides that I've worked with uh, over 10,000 people individually with body weight transformations, and these are the things that I've noticed that most people struggle with, and more importantly, how we can fix them. Did you know that 52% of consumers said that figuring out how to eat a healthy diet is more difficult than completing a tax return, right? So, what you got to do is you got to simplify your process here, right? And what I mean by that is we want to find out where you're at, where you need to go, and we got to close that gap into place, right? So the best way for us to do that is we got to start a food journal. If you bite it, you got to write it. All right. So what I mean by that is that if we're not tracking what we're doing, we're not going to be able to build awareness into what we're eating, and more importantly, what we're putting in our body. So, like I said, if you bite it, write it. Even if you drink it too. So you can drink a lot more calories than what you can eat as well. So you had to be very specific in what you're doing here. So if you're not, I'm gonna get into some specifics here, but like if you're not bringing down the things that you need to do, then it's going to cause a lot of issues later down the road, right? We want to make sure that we have everything in front of us to be successful, right? So, for instance, let's say you had a bowl of cereal here, right? Who's to say that your bowl of cereal isn't 300 calories? It could be less. It could be Honey Nut Cheerios. It could be something sugary. Same with your apples. Apples are a little different. Or this milk could be whole milk. So having your very specific of exactly what you're putting in your body is going to make a lot more sense, right? And so that's where having meal plans, having something very specific to what you're doing is what's going to allow you to get where you want to be, right? So dietary displacement, we want to know exactly what we have in our diet so that way we can have the right things in front of us to be successful, right? So if you don't know what you're eating, right, then we're not going to know where we're going. And more importantly, if we don't know where we're going, we're just going to be wandering around. So if you ever lost 5 pounds to gain 10 pounds, to lose 5 pounds to gain 10 pounds, then it's just going to keep having that vicious cycle over and over again. So here's a pop quiz for you, right? What was your last meal? So this is why it's very important. Like if it didn't come up to your head like right then, it's very important to write down exactly what you're putting in your body. There's a lot of times when people guesstimate or estimate what they have, they usually are off by a lot of calories, and that causes a lot of issues, especially if you're someone that's trying to lose weight, right? So if you write it down, get a journal, get something that's going to allow you to move forward in the right direction in the right language that you understand. Some people love using apps like MyFitnessPal, Lose It. Some people like the old-fashioned writing everything down. Either way, if you find something that works for you, just keep doing that. All right, so now we're going to get into some things that I want us to focus on when we are eating clean, right? We are eating right? So, in your last meal, was there any protein in there, right? So protein is a building block for your muscles. And the more muscles we have, the higher our metabolism is, which basically means that we're going to burn more fat if we have more muscle. So, and protein, it digests a little slower compared to other macronutrients out there. So it's always good to have a large amount of protein in what you have on your plate. So are fruits and vegetables the centerpiece of your plate? So if you are going to be having some fruits and veggies, make sure that they're colorful, kind of like here, right? Each color has different antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, things like that, that is going to allow you to have a full balanced diet. So same with your fats. A lot of times people give fat kind of a bad reputation, but there are some good things out there that you can have that's going to help you with omega-3s, omega-6s, things that are going to help you with your heart. We want to make sure that we have the right fats in front of us. And a lot of times it could be just adding something simple, like some nuts, or adding in some things to, if you do have a salad, using olive oil compared to something that you have in a bottle for the dressing. There's some simple ways that you can add in more without losing flavor. Because let's be honest, if food doesn't taste good, we're not going to eat it, right? So, what about your grains and starches? Where do those come into play? We want to make sure that we use a lot of unprocessed things out there. So a lot of times when we get things from the store, it comes in a bag in a box, and looking in the back of the ingredients list, right? If there's some words in there that you can't pronounce, odds are it's probably not the best thing to put in your body. But you got to take that with a grain of salt, because sometimes you got to put in things with what you can eat, right? So if you can't eat outside your means of what you can afford, then starting on the lower end of eating something with less ingredients is good, right? And then finding a way to make sure that you have some staples in there that are full of good fibers, that are a good amount of carbohydrates that you can enjoy without adding in that dreaded S word, which is we're about to get into, right? So did you notice that when this whole time I haven't talked about any refined sugars or carbs? The reason why is because our body doesn't need them, right? So we don't need anything that is white in a sense like this, right? These simple sugars here. Again, a lot of times when we're ingesting our calories in drink form, these sugars here, they come unnoticed because you're drinking them, right? So it's a lot easier to consume that. It's a lot easier to have a lot more calories that way. Same with, even proteins or fats. There's a lot of processed things in there that can cause a lot of issues, a lot of things that can cause some diseases that, we can easily get away from if we just eat somewhat relatively clean, right? So the key here is to do gradual changes. And I'm not saying flip a switch and all of a sudden you're eating kale and ice and kale the rest of your life. Because ain't no one got time for that. What I am saying is that if we find something that is working for us, let's double down on that, and then slowly start changing the things that aren't, right? So successful diets work in the background of your mind. So what I mean by that is a lot of these things that we have in front of us, right? A lot of these foods, a lot of these issues that we have with dieting, it starts here in our mind before we put anything in our body, right? If we think it's going to be hard and we approach it that way, that's going to be hard, then we're going to do a lot better than saying, hey, this is going to be easy, right? This is going to be some hard stuff. You need to be okay with that. You need to give yourself some grace that sometimes the things that we're going to do, it may not click right away, but the more we go at it, the more we find the things that are working, we double down on those things, then we're going to do some great things. So what we need to focus on is where our habits are, right? So whenever you start something new, your habits, they aren't gonna be at the right point, right? So we want to make sure that our habits and our success are going to line up. So the more habits we have going this way, right, the better chances of our successes are going to be, right? So if we don't have a lot of success when we don't have a lot of habits, right? Because we don't have a lot of things that are working for us, right? So this is our success here. So the more habits, the longer we uphold those habits, the longer the chances of our success is going to be. That's why we need to double down on those things that are going to work for us. So pick one or two habits to focus on. I want you to track how well you do. So, right, give yourself a plus or a minus, an X or, a smiley face on the chart, and then see how well you do, right? If it means like turn your phone off before you go to bed, or if it means, instead of, picking, the Pop-Tart to eat, changing that Pop-Tart to a fruit, you're going to find those things you're going to do well with, right? So your habits are key to your success. Without habits, we don't have anything. If I ever wanted to see where someone's going to be 6 months, a year from now, all I got to do is look at their habits. Their habits are going to dictate exactly where they are, but more importantly, they're going to show me exactly where they're going, right? So picking protein at each meal, having fruits and vegetables be star of your plate, and grains following exercise or sprinkle of healthy fats are going to be key for you to be successful with this 2025, right? If you're someone that's dieted over and over and over again and tried to, do this, that, and the other, odds are these things aren't the things that you're focusing on. If you just focus on these simple things, writing down what you're eating, and focusing on protein at every meal, if you are having fruits and vegetables, have those be at your plate, and as well as trying to focus your grains and other carbohydrates after your exercise, you're going to see some great things happen, right? So, so 3 more ideas for starting smart, right? So these are some things that I really want you to focus on, right? Is try new foods, find people, and invest in yourself. So trying new foods, right? If you ever grew up and didn't like certain vegetables, odds are that it was probably something that was pushed on you, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to find new foods that you are going to enjoy, right? Find things that you want to try out. Find people, kind of like just like here in the group, right? You're within people. You're seeing people that are struggling, but more importantly, a support system that you can allow yourself to move forward in the right direction and invest in yourself, right? So if you're not willing to invest in your future, you can't expect things to be changed, right? If you don't give the effort to become better and do better, then things are always going to be the same, right? So investing in yourself with a coach like me that can guide you and more importantly, protect you from making those mistakes that over and over again that most people make, that's what's really going to set you up to be successful. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. Those are the simple things that I want you to focus on in 2025. If you have any questions, let me know. Love to see how I can help. But more importantly, hopefully you got some really good insights from today's lesson. And if you did, let me know in the comments below. What was your biggest takeaway? And yeah, let's make 2025 a great year.